And
So, this is, what are we calling ourselves?
film juice.
Film Juice. This is Film Juice with John and Mike. I'm Mike and
I'm John.
John, and we're going to talk about movies. And today we're going to talk about um, Prince of Persia, which is an unsung hero of the video game adaptation genre of movies.
Yes.
How shall we start? Should we talk about the video game or the movie?
I kind of want to talk about the video game
Yeah,
first,
go
real
for it.
quick.
Go. You know more than I do.
Okay. Well, the video game, the first one was made in 1989, created by Jordan Mechner.
But it was like a side scroller, right?
Yes, yeah. So, first Prince of Persia in '89 is a side scroller. You're, side scroller platformer. You're jumping over gaps, hanging off of ledges, climbing. And yeah, the story is actually oddly connected to Aladdin, the Disney adaptation, and the Aladdin story, or at least the one that's found in the 1001.
So not necessarily the Disney one.
Yeah, not necessarily the Disney one. I was reading and
it goes pretty way back.
And what was it part of? What was the collection of stories?
1,000 Nights, 1,000 Arabian Nights, which is the main one of the main themes of the Aladdin movie. The one that's Arabian moons.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. And so yeah, both the first game and the Disney adaptation have a wizard type figure named Jafar, and but that in 1,000 Nights, I don't believe the wizard's name is Jafar.
Okay,
it's something else. So yeah, that's just some interesting backstory of the franchise and kind of.
I think it's Ruffar.
It's Ruffar.
I don't know for sure. I just made that up.
Oh. So yeah, that's kind of the very first game. Similar plot as far as you're the Prince of Persia basically. Apparently there was no name given to the original main character that you play as in the very first Prince of Persia game. And you're going, you save a princess, and then trying to find your way across obstacles, fighting with a sword as well. There was a trilogy, I believe, connected to that original Prince of Persia, and then there was, I believe they tried to reboot it, and then they tried to I believe they rebooted it again with Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. And that's what the Disney movie is based off of, and by the same title, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. That one, similar plot. Except you're actually, you're a prince, and they give him a name. I think it's
Destin. Yeah,
Destin. Yeah, there we go. You come across the dagger that controls the sands of time, and throughout the game, it actually plays a big role in helping you fight enemies and fight your way through, and then make your way, across the ledges and things that you have to
parkour.
Parkour. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and so that's the main game that the movie is based off of. And the story, it's a little, it's similar, but it is different. In the game, you're actually, there's one prince, he has a father, and then there's like a wizard type figure who is trying to get the dagger for the sands of time and get the power and rule over Persia basically and the world. In the movie, it's a very similar plot to that. In the game, you're very reliant on the dagger, and so it's very apparent like why it's important, and you kind of uncover its powers throughout the game. And at the time, it was actually really popular. It was I didn't get to play it too much at the time. I played it later. It's kind of dated now, but at the time, it was actually pretty something really new. You could rewind time about a minute or two in the game, and yeah, it spawned off a new trilogy for that franchise, and spawned this movie. So it did really well.
What should I say about the movie?
You should just say lies. No, I'm just.
Just say lies.
I think I guess we could just start off like with what it's about and who's in it, and
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know.
Well, starts out with some lame text on the screen about destiny that no one needs to even read. And then it goes to Jake Gyllenhaal, his very much younger self, running around. He's just like a street urchin. He's an Aladdin. His friend tries to. Is it Biss that tries to steal the apple?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the other Mongolian soldiers are like, yeah, no, I'm gonna hit you. And they hit him a couple times, and Jake Gyllenhaal is like, it's not Jake Gyllenhaal, it's a little child. And he's like, no, stop. And then here comes the king of Persia, and he sees him, save him, and also do all these cool stunts. And he's like, stop. Everybody stops doing what they're doing. Saves Jake Gyllenhaal's character. He's like, who are you? And who are your parents? And Jake Gyllenhaal's like, yeah, I don't know who my parents are. So he takes him, makes him his son. After that, we're directly diverted to this freaking nation that doesn't need to be um, invaded by anybody. The three brothers. Okay, so there's the main brother that looks like someone Peg. There's the other brother that's Toby Kebbell, and then there's Jake Gyllenhaal, who prefers to be, I guess, money fighting. He's gonna gain something from it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's so funny you say that too, because there are so many. There's like two or three different scenes where he's just seen fighting,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really know
Like why he is.
why. Yeah, he seems to enjoy it, but
He
it's like,
seems to like it. They ask him for counsel, and he's like, "Yeah, let's not invade this peaceful city." And they do it anyway. And
yeah,
he takes the initiative to invade the city from the side. They go in, open up the front gate, and he comes across the dagger, the dagger, and doesn't know quite what to do with it. So
yeah,
they capture him, take him back. You know, I mean, they don't capture him, but they take him back. Um, the princess is eyeballing him, and What's next? What happens after that?
Basically, yeah, there's the princess of that holy city, who's there, and she sees that Jake Gyllenhaal's character Dastan has the dagger that controls the sands of time. You don't know how she's connected to it yet, but you see
Right.
it. The camera just shows, you can see that she sees that on Jake Gyllenhaal and is like very interested in it and wants to make sure that she gets it back. You don't know why yet, but you get that impression. And so his older brother, Dastan's older brother, who would be the next in line to be king after their father dies.
Gorvis,
Is it?
which isn't it? That's not a name.
Yeah, I forget how they pronounce it in the movie.
I think it's Garvis.
Garvis.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's the one who wants to take the princess as his wife, as one of his many wives, and so that's how she agrees, because she knows that it would keep her, I guess, or help her get closer to the dagger, basically.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that happens there, and the father comes in to go ahead and basically let them know, like, hey, this is wrong. Like, you shouldn't have invaded this city. What were you thinking? And Dastan, it shows that Dastan let him know that he didn't want to, kind of thing. And it shows his father talking to him like, hey,
Oh yeah, his father says like, don't, a real leader doesn't seek power.
Mm-hmm.
He gets power from his subjects, something like that. Which is the same thing.
Yeah, he basically says follow your instinct as well, like do what's right, and don't
burn yourself.
Don't burn yourself.
It's just good advice.
Yeah.
Don't burn yourself.
I think I saw him whisper that in his ear. Yeah.
don't cut your hand. When you take your sword out.
So yeah, and at this point, the uncle comes along, which is the king's brother, of course, and is letting the king's three sons know, like, hey, your father basically came here to reprimand you. It was a big deal for them to see him, and for in general, and he's like, I just basically got him drunk, and and he should be fine. And so up to this point, you see some pretty good shots of the city. It looks great. You see some good shots of Jake Gyllenhaal in the beginning. They reminded me a lot of the Assassin's Creed game, actually.
Okay. Well, when he's gonna jump down.
Yeah, like jumping down from the buildings and from the ledges, and you see like him, like just the top of these like really tall buildings before they invade, or just prior to the invasion of that city, basically, and of that holy city. And it's just like, wow, those are some nice shots, and totally like Assassin's Creed-ish. So far, I was liking the movie. I thought, I was like, hey, this is something that looks nice. I'm not super invested at this point, and I'm not, super interested, but this has my attention,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, let's see where this continues to go here. And so the next section is where basically Dastan has a gift for his father, and his brother, his oldest brother, Garvis.
Yeah, he gave it to him.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you should give something to our father, just
He's like, I
something.
need. Well, he says like, I knew you'd forget. Here you go.
Yeah, and
Don't worry about it.
was it their father's birthday or
Yeah,
okay?
it was his birthday.
And so Gaston takes it, and his father loves it and everything, but it ends up killing his father because it had some kind of poison acid.
They say poison. Poison is something that you ingest, and he just put it on. So, like, did he taste it?
Yeah, it was.
Did he like suck on it a little bit? Maybe he does that to all of his clothes. He sucks on the clothes.
That was an interesting way of getting rid of the father there.
Yeah, he could have hired an assassin.
Yeah.
To strike an arrow into his head. So many different ways.
So yeah, throughout the movie, there's definitely these moments, which I think is important to add. Is like there are these moments that are that are there, and they're not really like super bad or anything like that, but they're not really helpful to the movie, and they're not really. They're kind of like in this instance, it's kind of in a bad spot too often. Like, it comes in an important moment in the story where it should be like their father dies, and he's the king of Persia, which is is basically the largest empire, or I think at this point in the Persian history, they're one of the, if not the largest empire and most powerful empires in the world at that point. And he dies by acid, like on him, by a cloak that he couldn't take off because it was burning his hands when he tried to take it off. And so like there's so much there that could have put weight on what was happening, as far as like background and context.
Yeah.
That was just kind of done through this way. It was just like, I mean, it's passable, sure, but again, I think it just keeps happening. I think a little too often, and sometimes in just these important parts of the movie. And I think the last one, the one before this, it was like what you were saying, Mike, was where the same thing kind of happened was when they invaded the reason to invade this holy city. Like, you could have taken the time to kind of like lean back on the history of Persia and these Persian kings and a little bit more, and just
they're just afraid of the Middle East right now.
That could have been part of it.
That has a lot to do with it.
You're probably right. Yeah. Yeah. Which sucks, there's.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, man. It is. And maybe that's why we don't hear about many Persian legends or Persian history in general, because I mean, we hear about the Greeks and the Romans.
Yeah, the Greeks and the Romans.
But Persia was just as a force to be reckoned with as Rome became, and it's sad we don't. I mean, to me, as someone who loves history too, that's where I'm coming from. A lot about it is like, man, like there's so much rich, there's so much history there that you can learn from. There's just so much. Like it's. I mean,
but yeah, I especially in Texas, like considering the things the Board of Education have approved or haven't approved. Yeah, I think it has all to do with that. Not that I agree with it at all.
I love just learning history. I think that's why I like looking into movies and stuff too, like and music and whatnot, and just what's behind the story or how is the movie made and
Yeah.
things like that. It's yeah, man, some cool stories. But yeah, so yeah, there's those two moments so far that in the movie that for me I was still interested. You still see there's still the good aspects that are there and present,
Yeah.
of course, and the acting has been good so far. It hasn't really been bad at that up to that point yet. So far, some good visuals. That happens. The king dies, and do you want to talk about what happens after that?
Oh, well, when the king dies, everyone turns against Jake Gyllenhaal. He runs away with the princess, and, well, he's got two brothers. The guy that's like a general, I guess. They don't say. Um, he's mainly after him, but at the same time, he discovers what the dagger is, which is to turn back time. And over a while of he discovers that she's got the sand in her necklace tucked away in her cleavage. They go from that.
In her cleavage.
She does. Like,
Yeah.
he looks directly at her breast. And she's like, "Did you find what you're looking for?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah." And so they keep going, and they get ambushed by Alfred Molina because he. Oh, what did she do? She hit him in the head with a bone.
Right. Yeah. So before the Alfred Molina, or before he meets him.
Yeah.
Yeah. She basically she's been yelling as they've been walking through the desert.
And when she collapses.
Yeah. Exactly. And collapse and isn't talking anymore.
And she wakes up and like he's like, "Princess, princess," and she gets up and hits him in the head.
Yeah, with this big bone. Who knows where she got it from, but big camel bone or something. And
I guess, yeah.
And yeah, so that knocks him. You just see it just knocks him out, and he's laying there, and she leaves him, abandons him, basically.
Yeah, she takes the knife.
Yeah.
Goes away. Alfred Molina is Jack Sparrow in the desert. Him and his knife thrower black guy.
The M'Baku or something, right?
The M'Baku.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of other random guys.
And Alfred Molina does a good job in this character.
I liked him a lot in that.
He's funny. He, like you said, he's like the Jack Sparrow of that movie.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia, and I guess this is like it reminds me too, like how this movie it feels like a Jack Sparrow Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It feels like
it does.
And movies of that time, I think, like I would even say like the Harry Potters, the Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
It has that type of feeling to it, and especially when Alfred Molina pops up, you kind of But he was funny. I thought.
No, he was very good. I thought his character was pretty funny. And then he takes Jake Gyllenhaal to his ostrich races. And he wants him to join like his gang or
like
group
ostrich
or
farm.
whatever. Yeah. And Jake Gyllenhaal's like, and they turn what's her face into a slave, the princess.
Yeah.
They had gathered her up on the way, and she's obviously not having it. At one point, Jake Gyllenhaal goes up to her and he's like, "Yeah, you do have what I need." And he grabs the necklace off of her chest because it has all the sand.
And throughout this time, she's been very. It's kind of odd because she's really been around Jake Gyllenhaal because she helped him escape basically when.
The first time.
Yeah, the first time when basically his father had died and everyone was accusing him of killing his father by giving him that acid poisonous cloak.
Acid cloak.
Yeah.
It's still pretty common.
Did you say it's pretty common?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
A lot of people die of acid cloak.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Sure.
More than COVID virus.
Yeah, so she helped him escape, but her relationship with him so far has been basically trying to get that dagger, and you don't know why. It doesn't tell you why yet. So far, she's been keeping that from him, and the movie doesn't let us know yet.
Right.
Molina's character, the ostrich racer,
right?
He finds out, hey, you look like you're that prince who killed his father, and
takes off.
Yeah, he's like, oh shoot, this guy wants to take me to to my brother, to the king, or maybe even kill him, So yeah, the princess kind of sees what's happening there between them, Dastan and Molina's character, and she lets all the ostriches go.
Oh yeah,
creates
that's right.
A huge riot, and they get away basically in the midst of the chaos that's happening. And so that whole section there was, at that point I was getting disinterested.
Yeah, me too. I didn't think it was totally necessary. They could have just kept going, run into like a monster or something, and overcome that, and then kept going. But instead, they run into this whole elaborate, like, thieves guild.
It's kind of odd.
No, go ahead.
It's odd to me that they even left. The city.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really explain to you why they've been gone or they left. You kind of assume that, okay, they're trying to get away from, and so he doesn't, so Dastan doesn't get captured. Yeah, because where's Dastan doesn't say he's going to go meet up with some people who are going to help him so he can go back.
He knows some, like, people from his past that he can hook up with.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. There's and then the princess again isn't saying anything, so you don't know why she's really leaving the city as her holy city, that she's princess of. You don't know why she's leaving that either, like. And so she doesn't tell him like, oh, let's go here, which would have been helpful. So we can be safe or something like that.
Yeah.
That was said. And so, that whole section was just kind of, you're kind of left just to kind of, I guess, imagine why they're there. At after that, and that's about, finding out about the dagger kind of just pulls you through that section, and Molina really kind of pulls you through his comedy through that 30-minute. So by this time, we're over an hour into the movie, and
Right.
and that's where, to me, I was like, man, this is too far. Like,
Something needs to happen.
yeah, like I'm an hour through the movie, and I don't know why this whole section happened. As far as like how this progresses the story, why I should care. This movie's an hour and 45, a little over hour and 45, and I'm like, man, like I mean, by this point, I mean, I want to.
Satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, she finally tells him about the dagger and her whole thing as far as why she wants it.
And she's a guardian.
Right. By this point, again, like it's kind of sad because it tells you the story when I wasn't interested as much anymore. I wanted the movie to end. I wanted it to get going, but actually is what I really wanted. And they actually tell her kind of backstory and how she, and kind of like this legend behind the Sands of Time. It's sad because at that point I'm
You
not
don't care anymore.
Yeah, and I'm reluctant to pay attention. Like it's kind of hard for me to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story that she tells. Basically, I don't know if it was like like some gods, or
You were going to say the Force.
I was gonna say, yeah, some spiritual forces or the Force.
It is. She, as a child, I think it's her, pled for the gods to spare the world, and in turn she would look after the dagger. And they said, okay. So they gave it to her. She put it away in some weird chamber, and I guess she saved the world.
Yeah, it's because of her purity in heart. And she's like a little girl. I mean, maybe 8 years old or something like that. In the movie, they were doing like a flashback, but while she was telling the story, and it sucks to know that, or it just. I wish they would have told that like 30 minutes
earlier.
Yeah. Because now, from that point in the movie, she's not the kind of nagging princess anymore.
Yeah.
She turns into a what would you say? Like, how would you explain that?
Like a martyr?
Yeah. Yeah. Like she's
really important.
Right. And
if she doesn't have it, then everything goes to shit.
Right. And so that's pretty huge, and I think it may have, it was too late by that point to say that. Like
yeah, it was pretty. It's an hour and 15 minutes into the movie. You decide that she is suddenly, she's the guardian of the knife.
Right.
Or the dagger. And it's like, well...
Dagger, Michael. Dagger.
Dagger, my bad.
Not a knife. No, just fine.
They even make a point of saying that's not very sharp.
I know.
But yeah, she's the only one that can do it. But she isn't, because they carry it to the temple, which isn't a traditional type of temple.
Yeah, it's
Not
like
that there is one; it's just a bunch of rocks.
yeah, it does
Um,
not look like a temple. And Dustin, Jake Gyllenhaal's character does.
He even says that.
Yeah,
He's like, "This is just a bunch of rocks,"
yeah,
and it's true. Like
yeah.
it.
It's like on the side of a mountain or a hill, and it has like
Yeah,
little
but
caves.
there's also snow though.
Okay.
What the fuck is that about? They don't expand on that because I think the knife. I'm sorry, the dagger even tells them, like put this in the snow and it'll absorb the whatever. They go up there. There's like snow on the dead assassins. But there's no melted snow on the ground. There's no snow anywhere else. But if there
Yeah.
were, could you just put it in the snow?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a question I have, I guess.
I think, was it right before that, or was it after when he visits his dad's funeral?
It was before.
It was right before. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was some odd. Once they get back together, escaping the.
Yeah, because
Molina's
that's when he
character.
learns. Yeah, because that's when he learns that Ben Kingsley is gonna kill him, and he
Right.
learns that the assassins have followed them there. That's that whole stretch of like them staying in the desert and talking.
Yeah.
And they have the sandstorm, and he's like, only a princess believed she could live through a sandstorm. No, it isn't.
Yeah. And again, it's trying to build on some romance between them, but it's kind of like, who cares?
Yeah, the romance is pretty constipated.
Yeah, and they don't kiss. They never kiss, which is
They don't kiss until the very, very, very end.
yeah, like 10 minutes to the end, and
The rest of the time, they just kind of like face each other, and he cups her head, and they don't do anything.
they look into each other's eyes.
Yeah, they look each other's eyes. They like bounce foreheads.
It's like, okay, is it finally
And-
gonna happen? No,
No,
and that happens like
it's not.
3 times before throughout the movie, and it happens a little too often.
Yeah,
To where it's like, it's like, okay, yeah, that makes, you want to do that a little bit, but it's not to be that much.
you can do it a couple times, and then start. You got to build up to it.
Yeah. And there's plenty of opportunities to do it before they did. It's not it was a bad moment as far as when they did it, like it still worked, but when they finally kissed, but it was just like, again, it was just like, does it have to be, did you have to tease us so many times?
Are you clapping?
No, it was my harmonica. You could hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was smacking it against my leg. Yeah, they go back to the city. He has to talk to his uncle and get him alone so he can explain everything.
That was the other thing. There's so many back and forths.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, and then
can you make it a straight line?
And that's where he finds out, that his uncle is the one that was behind it, and how his uncle really wanted to go back in time, kill the king, or let the king die, because there was a story his uncle would always tell about how he saved the king from the lion. Yeah. He saved the king so many times, or not so many times, sorry, he saved him from the lion. And he wanted to go back, use the dagger to go back in time, let the lion actually just kill his brother.
Kill him. Yeah.
That's when he finally finds out. And then, so this is like an hour and 15 in by this point, and you got 30 minutes or around there. What was that? What was the first 20, 30 minutes? Okay. And then the next 30 minutes is like, what was all that for? And then you get these next 15, 20 minutes of important revelations, about the actual, dagger and the main plot story arc,
Right.
And then you got 30 minutes left, and by this point I was like, okay, I'll stay to the end. I'm already here.
Yeah. Might as well.
I will say this, I would have liked to have seen more of those awesome shots that they had in the first 20, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to have seen more of that in the desert. If they were in the desert, I would have liked to have seen some more awesome footage, because it was impressive. I at least to me, some of the shots they did in the first 20 minutes or so of Dastan doing the parkour and the shots of the city and whatnot, and him on top of buildings and stuff. So I would have liked also to have seen more action with the dagger itself, because in the game, like we were saying, the 2003 game of the same name had, that was the main part of the gameplay, using that dagger to rewind time and help you take out enemies, because it was like there was, and to explain it, that 2003 game was kind of a mixture of God of War on the PS2 and Batman,
the Arkham.
Yeah, the Arkham series. It would, how Batman could like block, and when you saw someone coming at you, you could
all the
react.
brawling.
Yeah, it had an element of that in the Prince of Persia game from 2003. That was very, very early, of course, but it was there. That's part of what made the game really cool. He'd run on walls. He's almost like I would also say too, I would also add Tomb Raider.
Okay.
Yeah, a mixture of Tomb Raider as well. Not the newer, it was like pre-2010 Tomb Raider. Probably maybe even like pre-2005 Tomb Raider. I would have liked to have seen more use of that dagger, and the next 30 minutes actually are probably the better
I thought so too.
Of the movie.
Where they're in the temple, and the assassins, I hate saying that because it sounds like I'm not pronouncing the H, and it's such a stupid name for them. I mean, it's fine, but it's not.
It is funny. Like the first time you said it, I actually thought you were saying like I thought you were joking. I thought you were like calling them asses or something.
I know, it's a stupid name for them.
The asses.
They could have said like the Black Order or the Black Council or something.
True.
All these things are like, they each have a thing. It reminded me of Thanos's his people when in Infinity War, and they each have a thing. One has a sword, one has mace, one has a thing to throw, and one is like the 6 or 7.
The Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Exactly. Give them each a thing. Instead, they're all assassins. You're making me breathe more than I have to. But yeah, it felt really silly. I like the
Yeah.
idea. I like the idea. Like,
I
oh, these
think
guys are like serious, like fucked up. They're gonna kill you.
I think
They're
they
gonna
came.
swing a thing at you.
Yeah, I think they came in too late.
Way too late. They
Way
should have
too
been like
late.
the main villains. Like, and he had to mow
Yeah.
one down at a time.
So yeah, so this is another introduction of something late, like um, your main villain. Oh well, not they're a secondary villain, but they yeah, they're basically the one he fights the most. So throughout the movie, and from this point now to the end, and they're hired by his uncle. There was the potential, like I think, yeah, like you said, Michael, for them to be way more interesting and bad, like badass, but it wasn't introduced very well, and the name crippled them too, and the time,
Yeah.
that they were introduced. So why are you, like, the movie throws all this stuff on you in about 20 minutes, towards an hour in. Now they've got about, another 25 minutes or so to wrap it up.
Because you've got, like, they've already joined forces with Alfred Molina and his group of slaves, like, and the black guy. And you're wondering, like, what are they going to do? And then they guilt the black guy into guilting Alfred Molina. And he's like, okay, fine. And it's like, well, why didn't y'all do that to begin with?
Yeah, I think it's important to note too, one of his brothers gets killed by the assassins.
That's
Um,
true, yeah.
and so he gets killed, and he tries to tell him, like, it's I need to go back. Basically, I need to go back to the holy city and warn, my oldest brother. His brother ends up believing him before he dies, and he tells him to save the empire.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was one of the moments that was kind of brushed over, though. It was a little touching, of course, but again, I think, just with everything said, it just they're trying to push the story at this point, because
Yeah.
they know they only have so much time. And so he dies, and then they make it back. Molina, like you said, agrees to go with them and help
Hmm.
Tistan go back to his brother Garciv and try and convince him and warn him, basically, of their uncle.
Right.
There's a really cool action scene. Once they get to the city, there's that the Mbuku, yeah, professional knife
He's the only one
thrower.
that can, like, yeah. And they go to the city, and I think, what's her name says, like, nobody can get within 20 yards of that guy. And he's like, nobody has to. And so he goes, he fights the spike guy, and he kills him, but he realizes he's also been thrown like 5 spikes in his chest. And
Yeah,
he dies.
for a Disney
And
movie, that was pretty.
that was pretty graphic.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it's pretty graphic.
Mm-hmm.
And so he grabs the dagger and he throws it in the air, and I guess it's so fucking unlikely.
Well, it was cool, though.
I saw that and I was like, fine, because he sacrificed himself, but god damn it, that's the least likely thing that could ever happen.
It's actually it is, and it's actually one of the more memorable moments of the movie.
It is. That's unfortunate.
So,
but
and that battle sequence is like, you see bullet time. He's like dodging. They're both like dodging each other's daggers. And it was cool. Like, it was, you
that was
feel
neat.
the tension.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, like, he he gets to the dagger. He kills the assassin, but he himself has been.
He's dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been stabbed 5 times at least in the chest.
Yeah, and it
it's
shows
like,
you.
He throws it into the air, and it's like,
Well,
oh my god.
He throws it with style. Like, it's you make it sound like he just like woo. Like, it's just
He
like
kind of does.
it kind of
I don't know.
is.
Like
but
it kind of feels like random.
you don't know what he's gonna do, so it kind of it builds it up to where like what is
Yeah, because all
now?
the guards come in, and he's like, I'm just gonna throw it.
And
We'll see what happens.
He's dying right there at the
yeah, he's
at the
dying
dagger.
there, and they're gonna kill him more
in that same room, and he's on his knees. He grabs a dagger. He
throws
looks
it
back behind him.
Yeah, throws it through the roof.
He throws it out the window.
He's like, there you go.
He throws it out the window, and then it shows it flying out the window, and then it goes to Molina's character, and they're next to a tree. He's there with Destan and the princess, and the dagger is basically pierces into the tree and outside of the palace.
And they're like
5 stories
okay, good.
up. Yeah, and then Molina's character is like, "Have I ever told you about the umbuku?"
Yeah, I get it.
That was funny. Very much a salesman of the time.
I liked,
like a merchant.
I liked Alfred Molina as a fucking salesman. Oh, Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
That's actually my great grandfather.
That's my father. And what are we doing? Where's the rum gone?
He actually gets to his brother Garvis with the dagger. He tells Garvis, like, hey, he tells him everything that's happening about the uncle, about the dagger.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling him, like, hey, basically, when you press this button here on the dagger, it turns back time. And he said, I should have stopped all this, at the beginning. I knew it was wrong to invade this holy city, and he stabs himself.
Right, yeah, he kills himself.
Which is surprising for a Disney movie, too.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, okay, wow. I mean, and then you see his brother, you see the uncle comes in, his brother suspects him.
Yeah, and he goes after the older brother.
Yeah, and
then he pushes the thingy, right?
Right, so Garvis, is it Garvis?
No, it's not Garvis, it's
or Garvin?
Tuss.
Oh, Tuss is the older brother.
Tuss is the older brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he goes ahead and presses the button, turns back time, and he's
and then he's about to kill himself, and he stops him, and Jake Gyllenhaal's like, "Oh, good, you pressed it."
yeah, it's like, oh shoot. And then there's this whole thing about them being brothers.
There's a whole thing about brothers, and Ben Kingsley slits the brother's throat. Jake Gyllenhaal saves the girl, but ultimately what it comes down to is pushing the thing into the sand thing.
Yeah, the sand wall or the sand.
Right. And I guess it comes down to, I was confused by that. Does it come down to what the user wants? Because Kingsley wanted to go all the way back to his own childhood, right? Because the guy's like 60-something, right? At least. So he was holding it, and then Jake Gyllenhaal was holding it. And Jake Gyllenhaal holding it made it go back to just where he wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't determine...
I think
Is it determined by the person?
I think so, because Jake Gyllenhaal, he ends up...
He ends up right back at the beginning of the movie, where he raided whatever the city it was, and then he's holding the dagger, and he's like, he comes back and he's like, oh shit, what did I do? I know what's gonna happen. So he goes back, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my uncle did all this. And everyone believes him for no reason.
Right. That was, they're wrapping up the movie at those last 5 minutes, and they're trying to, he's trying to stop. They've already invaded the city, but he's trying to stop them from,
I guess,
doing anything, any more damage.
Anything further.
Basically.
Yeah.
And so the father's still alive. No one thinks
alive.
He's a murderer. Yeah, everyone's alive.
Yeah. Bis, Gorvis, Clitoris. They're all alive.
Yeah, and so he's able to convince his brother, and his brother is very insecure at the very beginning of the movie.
Right, yeah, he still is.
And so...
But he taught him what his father taught him, which was follow your heart.
Yeah.
And not your orders. Which
it's
doesn't
weird.
make sense if you're gonna follow an army. You're gonna lead an army into something. Like don't follow your orders from your superior. Follow your heart. In which case,
it's such a cheap thing. It's so cheap.
Let's not invade this city. Let's go home. And really, honestly, in the beginning of the movie, Jake Gyllenhaal, he says we shouldn't be invading this city.
Right.
He actually says let's not do this because we're not supposed to.
Yeah, and it didn't make sense. It wasn't the right thing to do at that point with the little evidence. They didn't even
very little evidence. And the king even pointed that out. He's like, you better have something better than suspicions.
To show me, show me.
And she even says, she's like, we have no weapon forges here.
Right.
Like, we don't make weapons here. What are you talking about? And, it made complete sense. I mean, the movie, God damn it, the movie makes sense. But it shouldn't.
Yeah, I think because, too, the men don't look that young, for one. They look like they're in their
40s?
30s, 40s, yeah. And it's hard to believe that they were, because I think they're supposed to be maybe late teens, maybe early 20s.
Yeah, they're supposed to be about 20 something, and really just Jake Gyllenhaal acts like he's in his mid 20s.
Yeah,
but they were all in their mid 30s, at least.
And one of his brother, Toby Kebbell.
Kebbell, yeah.
He looks a little young himself, but
he's actually pretty young, yeah.
But yeah, you don't. So it doesn't come across that well that they could be taken advantage of that easily.
Yeah.
Because of that, but
because they all act like idiots.
Yeah, and So they look like they're acting dumber than their age, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
And then Ben Kingsley, he should not be acting like he's in his 20s.
yeah, it's like, why wait so long, right?
He's like, he's older than the king. Okay?
Yeah.
So how does that make sense? I mean, it's easy when you're bald. But yeah, that Ben Kingsley looks ageless, but he's not. He's like, right now, at this moment, he's like 70. So at the time, he was at least 60. The king
Yeah.
himself was like, he didn't look that old. I'm pretty sure that guy was also in Lord of the Rings. I think he was the king that was corrupted in the Two Towers. I could be wrong. I don't know.
I don't remember, but yeah, man. I mean, you know, the movie, Jake Gyllenhaal is able to go back in time, convince his brother that the uncle is. He confronts the uncle as well. Well,
It's a nice little drama.
yeah,
I like that. That's fine. I like the special effects. I like the story. Some of the camera work was good. The special effects were fine.
yeah.
I don't hate the movie. I don't feel like it was a waste of my time like the first time I saw it.
Yeah. And that's the odd thing. I think this is one that's kind of oddly between the good and bad.
It's in that weird section.
Yeah.
That weird. It's a very. It's I would say it's a thick line of like good elements, bad
Story.
not the story, but also bad like the script, the way they portrayed the script
Okay.
was bad. Maybe the script was completely different and they just didn't know how to do it, or they interpreted it wrong. But yeah, I mostly liked it.
Me too. I think well,
It's
I did mostly like it, and especially being a video game movie, it surprised me because I had the assumption that it was going to be bad.
of course no one can blame you for that.
Yeah, and it was actually better than I thought it would be, you know, and it's better than a lot of video game movies that I've seen.
Yeah, really.
It's not for me, like Mortal Kombat is really up there in the top. Like,
yeah, Mortal Kombat's up there. Very top for me, Silent Hill. I think that's number one. Just because it gives her the character, it gives her like tasks, and she has to go do each thing. And I'm like, okay, this feels a lot like a video game because she has to do all these things in order to accomplish one thing, and that's what you do in a video game. And then also the creature effects and the mood and the atmosphere, they kind of captured the video game pretty well.
They did. I agree completely. It felt like a movie too. I think
it felt like a movie as well.
Movie.
It felt like a good movie. Yeah.
Like I was like,
and it was the creature effects. Jesus Christ, like super creepy.
Especially at night. I think it's a good, like, if you want to be creeped out, it's a good one to watch at night. It's really it'll scare you, and I think it could definitely use with the visual effects, the CGI and stuff like that. It could use a redo on that, like on a 4K release.
Yeah,
that could be cool.
Like a redo of the chicken skin flying against the tree.
That one was. I don't think they could redo that, but that was funny.
Oh. Let's tear off this woman's dress. She has no features.
But like,
and then...
like the baby child screaming things at the beginning.
Oh, dude, that's the most terrifying part of the game.
Yeah.
That actually, you've played it, right?
I have played a few of them, yeah.
Jesus. Like, that part of the game, it creeped me out to no end, where I had nightmares. I can't play scary games.
I
like
try
where
not
like
to play
the
them
little
at night, yeah.
little babies come out with knives, and like, okay, first of all, you come into the shot, right, in the game. You come into the shot, and there's like a weird body splayed out on a gated fence, and you're like, what is this? And then all of a sudden, all these little babies come out with knives.
Oh,
what the fuck is going on? And then you just pass out. Like, what happened? What was that? What is that?
Yeah, you and that happens in the movie, and I thought that was really well executed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if they replace the I guess it's the textures, or they completely replace them with like 4K images as opposed to the I don't know what it was at that time, maybe 720 or 1080p textures.
Maybe 720.
Right.
Because I think it was a PS1 game, right?
Oh yeah, but the movie.
Oh, the movie itself, yeah.
Yeah,
that was like 2005, 2004.
Yeah, it was released 2006.
Okay.
And yeah, so they look a little dated, but it's not horrible. I just think it would be, I think it would help the movie, you know, and it would be actually a pretty cool release to do that on a 4K version of that movie.
I loved, like I said, like the very first part where the cop like pulls her over and she's like, "You're under arrest. Don't move your," and she's got her helmet on, and the thing is like, it's just like a skin over its torso, so it can't move arms. And she's like, "Hold it right there," and I'm like, "What do you think is gonna happen? You have to just shoot it."
Yeah.
How are you gonna arrest it? It doesn't have arms or face.
You know, I think with horror movies, I notice a lot of moments like that in that movie, and I guess it just goes with the horror kind of genre a lot of the time. But where it's like, why do you make that decision, or why do you?
Yeah, that's true.
But again, you know, you kind of give it. It's a horror movie, you know. I mean, it has to take. It kind of has to take place for the movie to go along.
Right.
But yeah, that'd be another good one to talk about. For me, my top movie would be Mortal Kombat. I think.
I mean, it's pretty good.
And it's. I think all the actors were great. I think the stunts, for the most part, the fight scenes were good. Definitely could have been better, but I'm glad they actually got some martial arts like trained actors for that. Not all of them were, of course, but there were more than usual, you know. And yeah, man, I thought the music was good for the time, especially, and then the fighting sequences and whatnot. And the story actually held up. Like, it was simple, but it wasn't, you know, it was pretty close to the game, and it didn't deviate too much, you know, from the game, and yeah, and it still made a good movie, and so Now the sequel, that's a different story, but yeah, I think it was a good like. I thought it was one of the best video game movies to me.
Yeah, it's pretty good. In the sequel, though, who fought Baraka? Was it Katana?
It may have been. It's been so long since I've seen it.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I was thinking about that as you were talking. I was like, okay, I know Baraka was in it. Who fought him?
Yeah. So those are. Oh.
I was gonna say. I like the part where Liu Kang is like, the chick shows up, or Jade appears out of nowhere. And he's like, Katana? And I'm like, no, dude, she's wearing green. But he falls for it anyway, and she bites him. And I think she makes all of them think that she's on their side. I could be wrong.
Yeah, she does. I remember that.
Does she? She's like a traitor.
Yeah, she's like like a spy for
for Shao Kahn. And Shao Kahn's like the lamest villain in the world.
In that movie, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, those are. This one, Prince of Persia, compared to those, it's like
it's way better.
Or to like, it's way better than the Mortal Kombat 2.
Of course, yeah.
Than Annihilation.
It's way more entertaining. It's not just like there are some aspects of it, but it's not just baffling. I wouldn't call it a smart movie, but it's well made.
Yeah,
it's well written and well acted.
The
special effects are here and there. It's fine. I think what frustrates me about the movie are some of the directorial choices. That's all that bothers me. Is just like not even the directorial choices, but the writing choices, where you're stuck on one thing for so long that it gets stale. Like,
yeah,
it just gets boring sometimes.
Right. And
like so much time in the desert. Just get out of the fucking desert.
Right. Yeah. It has its goods. It has its bads, and overall, I would say it's right in between. It's weird, and it's worth a watch. I think it's worth.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah.
And because it can go either way. It seems like too. Like the critics' reviews were basically straight down the middle. Like 5 out of 10, 2 out of 4, 50 out of 100. Like it's kind of, you're going to be on one side that doesn't like it, or the other side that's like, yeah, I like it. And it made
some that are just like, it's not worth seeing. I get that. I understand both sides.
Same. And I didn't think I was going to feel that way about this one. And this is a unique video game movie, I feel like, in that way, at least to me. For me, for the most part with video game movies, it's like, yeah, that sucked, or that was good, or really good. And this is one of the ones that is very rare. It's like, I can see how it's good and how it's bad. And it's kind of just has me personally in the middle about it. And it wouldn't be one of the first video game movies I recommend, but if someone was maybe like this would be one of the last ones I'd recommend. You know,
Yeah.
like if you've seen all the like the first ones I recommend, then I'd say check this one out, see what you think. You know, but yeah, they made money. You know, it made money in the box office. It didn't
It made a lot
flop.
of money actually for, it was, like you said, it was the number one video game adaptation for years.
Yeah.
I mean, what came after it? Oh, Sonic.
Warcraft even before Sonic. I think Sonic.
Warcraft. And then Sonic. Probably.
Yeah, I think Sonic is the largest now.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them do it again. You know, attempt it again. Honestly.
What,
And
Prince of Persia?
yeah, Prince of Persia. But this.
That would be neat.
Yeah, and don't worry about, like, I would like them to show the more historical sides of
Yeah.
Persia, and you know the good, the bad, and why it's important historically. You know,
I would hope so. I just don't know if like any studio would go towards like a Middle Eastern themed film right now.
yeah, that's true. It sucks. It would be so cool to see it, but
No, it would. I liked it. I mean, it was fine. But yeah, I would hope so.
and you know, apparently they're rebooting the video game.
Are they really? They're gonna do like a God of War on it?
Who know? Who knows? I mean, they may go the same route as like maybe more open world. That's what Ubisoft has been doing with Assassin's Creed. And,
do they do Prince of Persia too?
yeah, they're the ones
no.
who brought it back in 2003, basically, and bought the rights to it. I guess we'll see what happens there.
Oh no. Who does God of War?
That's Naughty Dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what would they do with Prince of Persia that you would prefer to see, other than the open world part?
You know, I would like to see like Assassin's Creed, how they honestly Assassin's Creed I think is super influenced by Prince of Persia.
Yeah, but it could also be a good model for a new Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Which is ironic, but
and yeah, the lore, the history, the Assassin's Creed is basically like conspiracy lore, legend, you know, history to the map.
Yeah, there's like always like a council behind everything.
Yeah, and secret societies.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want that too much with Prince of Persia, but I would like to see the just history, you know, and some lore, you know. I think that would be great. I think gameplay wise, I think gameplay, it would be nice to see maybe more weapons and maybe some more elemental our universe, you know, shifting game mechanics, you know, artifacts, instead of just focusing on the time, which I think they added later in in that trilogy, but yeah, maybe going from one place to another, like coming out a wall, you know, going through the floor and coming up, you know, behind an enemy, and I don't know, just some more play with that aspect. I think could be cool.
That'd be cool.
Maybe teaming up, maybe in this one, maybe some deeper relationships where you team up with some maybe some Knight Templars at that time. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You don't want any assassins?
Right, you run into Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed.
That was so weird when I heard that, because I always have the captions on when I watch a movie or anything.
I like to do the same. It's helpful.
It helps me because sometimes I don't always understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
And when Ben Kingsley came on and he was like, "Get the assassins," and I'm like, "Did he say assassins?" No, he said assassins. And I'm like, "Is that like Middle Eastern assassins? Is that what they call them?" And it's like, no, that's what they're called. I'm like, oh, okay. Assassins. Yeah,
so
the actress was actually pretty good too.
Yeah, she wasn't a bad female actress or anything. She was really good. She was attractive and she did a good job.
Yeah, she was attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of what keeps you into the movie. I mean,
probably.
It shows her like in different outfits.
Jack Gyllenhaal's muscles.
Yeah, and she's wearing revealing clothes throughout the movie.
Yeah, really. They kind of exploited her a little bit, but
yeah, definitely.
Because like every other outfit was like exposing her midriff, and I'm just like, oh, all right.
Yeah, exactly. And she seemed honestly, I wonder if a princess at that point would have like even reveal her face.
Absolutely not.
I don't think so, right?
No. She wouldn't reveal any part of her body. She'd be in one of those things.
like one of those face coverings.
Those hooded ninja things that they wear.
The hijabs.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, no. She's not gonna be around showing her cleavage and her belly and
it'd be
her
killed
thighs.
Looking at that, probably.
Yeah, she'd be murdered.
Yeah, and a guy would be murdered for
looking at it.
Yeah. That's how the movie would have really went down.
Yeah, really. Like, the movie would have ended within 5 minutes.
Yeah. So that was like one thing I was like, okay, historically, yeah, that's definitely inaccurate.
The Prince of Persia. And he just gets like
beheaded.
because he looks at her.
I think of movies like The Mummy that showed like that.
I was thinking about The Mummy.
That delved into the you see the desert, and it's kind of, it's not exactly in that region, but it's actually not too far.
It's not too far.
Yeah. And like The Mummy, the 2000, I think it was 2000, 1999.
It was 2000. Yeah. 99.
When that one released, I mean, it was cool how they went into the legends and the lore and aspects.
Also, the wife of the mummy wore scantily clad.
Oh, true. That might have been more true. I don't know, in Egypt. I don't know. Yeah, I think
show your nipples.
Yeah, she was basically naked and painted over. That's what she was.
Yeah.
In The Mummy. Yeah. But anyways, I mean, I think that's it, right, for this movie.
Yeah, no, but I kept thinking of Gods of Egypt, like I said the other day. But this was way better.
Yeah, I think this was better.
Gods of Egypt was horrible. I hated the love story in Gods of Egypt. I hated the kid. I hated the girl. It was just bad.
What would you say as far as compared to video game movies? Just maybe 3 of them, if you can list them off. What movies is this one better than?
Oh my goodness!
Video game movies. Yeah.
Let's see.
I'd say it's
Like,
better.
if this is, go ahead.
It's better than Double Dragon.
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah.
It's better than what's it called? It's better than Max Payne.
Yep.
There's one I want to say, but I'm not too sure. I have to see it again.
Which one?
I want to say Street Fighter. I know it's better than
That's
the
hard
Chun.
to say.
Yeah, I know it's better than the Chun-Li, Street Fighter Chun-Li
Oh,
movie.
dude, I hated that one so much.
Yeah, and so it's better than those 3 for sure.
For me, I would think it's better. Of course, Max Payne. I hate Max Payne. The first Hitman.
Okay.
Like, in terms of the ones that I hate, I haven't seen Heavenly Sword, but I would say
that one's animated. If you could choose one that's not animated,
it's live action. I would say Mortal Kombat 2.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because I hate that movie, but I also like it because it has so many characters. They don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
They don't know how to dress them. Overall, Prince of Persia is all right.
Yeah.
Complete 180 from what we thought.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Congratulations. Not a smart movie. Not creative. Competent. It's fine.
Yeah.
It works. They should have made more.
Yeah, I think they could have. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't have. I mean, maybe it was nice just to leave it at.
Just to leave it at that.
Yeah, like just to leave it at like, okay, we took it.
It's like, let's not.
We didn't fail. We didn't really succeed, I guess, as much in Disney's eyes.
And it took place in the midst of Disney's Marvel takeover. So I think they were running out of franchises. And then they got confident. They took over Marvel. And then they started doing remakes of their animated movies. Yeah, are you still recording?
Yeah, I am. Well, I think we should go ahead and just sign off with something. Yeah. So I just want to thank everyone for watching or listening to this.
Thank you.
Look forward to more bad movies, good movies, movies in between that, and random movies.
Possibly TV shows that are really good. Or maybe video games.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe comics that I let John borrow so that we can talk about them.
Definitely.
I'll force him to read.
Yeah, let us know what you think of Prince of Persia. If you want to go see it or if you've seen it already. Yeah, let us know.
In theaters now.
Definitely. Catch it with the coronavirus.
Yes. Sit close to someone.
And let us know if there's anything else, anything you'd like us to watch, or a video game movie you liked or didn't like, or it was kind of falls in line with this Prince of Persia movie, kind of being in the middle.
Stay home, stay safe, stay Prince of Persia,
and stay juicy, baby. This is Film Juice. I'm John.
Mike.
We're signing off. We'll see you We'll see you soon.
Bye.